Hello, I'm Hani Bushra, an immigration attorney based in Huntington Beach, California. Today is September the 9th, 2019, 9/9/19, and this is another update about immigration laws. Today I'm going to be talking about some recent updates in the asylum office, or offices across the country, and how these updates are impacting asylum cases, whether they're pending or whether they're going to be interviewed in the future. First of all, let's talk about some of the pending cases. At this point, there has not been a plan yet established for how to deal with the pending cases. So there is not a formal plan about cases that have been pending from 2015, 2016, 2017. But we have seen some individual offices, if you go and nag on them a little bit during the inquiry hours or send them emails or even, I would suggest visiting them. Okay, we've seen some offices schedule some of the old cases. So we saw that for 2016 cases in Los Angeles, and we saw it in San Francisco. So these are the two offices that we've seen some response to that. Keep in mind that there are offices that we know for sure now that are not interviewing anybody, and that includes New Jersey Asylum Office and Virginia Asylum Office. Both of these offices are not interviewing because their offices have been tasked with going and doing interviews at the borders for people who are in Mexico, part of the Remain in Mexico program, people who are seeking asylum but they're not letting them into the country but having them stay in Mexico. So that's the updates regarding pending cases. We have a couple of other more updates or new updates going on. Number one, there is a new director to the asylum program. The previous director has been there since 2010. He was a very, I wouldn't say the word good director, but he was a career immigration officer. He had gone through the ranks. He was somebody who knew the law very well, understood immigration law very well, understood asylum very well, was committed to the mission statement of the Asylum Corps or Asylum Office, and he was let go. Instead of him, they brought in a deputy of the FDNS unit. The FDNS is the Fraud Detection and National Security Unit, and the person that they brought in to head the Asylum Office was the deputy director of that unit. And that just gives you an indication of where the direction of the office is going to be in the next few months. Namely that it's going to be focused more about national security issues, focused more about fraud detections, focused more about the security side of an asylum case versus the merits of an asylum case, whether you deserve to get an asylum or not. We also know that a lot of officers are very unhappy with what's going on in the asylum office because they're being pressured to focus on things they don't want to be focusing on, and they feel like it's not right to focus on them. Therefore, there is a source of unhappiness inside the asylum office. We also have a new rule that's being proposed, which is that to eliminate something called supervisory review of asylum cases, which means that the asylum officer who's going to interview you will get to make a decision on their own regarding your asylum application and your case without going back to a supervisor. That's not a good thing, by the way. I mean, it could be a good thing if you end up with a good officer, but overall, it's not a good thing because a supervisor is supposed to have multiple asylum officers working under them, and to make sure that a decision is consistent, okay, among the asylum officers and that things are the same. So if you have one asylum officer who doesn't like people from a certain country or a religion from a certain country, and next to him is another officer who treats them fairly, the supervisor is supposed to make sure that both officers reach the same conclusion for people who are similarly situated or have the same kind of case. With that being eliminated, you run into the risk of, if you fall with a bad officer, you're going to have your case is not going to get a second chance of review by a supervisor. And it becomes more important for you to have an attorney that knows the asylum process very well and the asylum office that you're interviewing in very well, so they are able to go in, and if there's a problem with the officer who feels like now they have so much power over you that a supervisor going back and checking their questions or anything like that, your attorney will have the ability to go in and say, you know what, officer, I don't think that's an appropriate line of questioning, or this is a problem that you should not be addressing in this issue. Another thing that that has been announced, it has not taken effect yet, is that there was a requirement that people who have a pending asylum case for more than 150 days and they apply for the work permit, that their Work permit application must be done within 30 days, adjudicated within 30 days. That's part of the regulations. And when that doesn't happen, people could sue the government and say there has been a delay. So then now they want to eliminate the 30 days sort of deadline that they had for people to get their work permits. They're saying that we need to have the liberty to delay it as much as we could. And the purpose of that, again, is to make things harder. You're supposed, if your case was pending for 150 days, which is 5 months, you're supposed to apply, and in 30 days, which is 180 days, which is what the law says, within 180 days, you're supposed to get a work permit. You have to get your, within those 30 days, you're supposed to get your work permit. Now they want to say it could even go beyond 180 days. Okay, and you have a right to the work permit since it's 180 days, but we can delay it a little bit until we finish our investigations, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's part of the plan to make things harder for asylum seekers these days. You gotta understand that we're coming up to an election year next year, and because it's an election year, there is, I think, an increased sense within the Trump administration that something has to be done drastically because we might lose next year. And so let's inflict as much pain as possible on people before we leave. That's one thing. And I think also part of it, that it's an election year, is the idea that Trump needs to go back to his supporters and show that he is very tough on immigration, and he's doing that by some of the new regulations that come out. Finally, we are seeing a lot of questions in the asylum interview regarding the embassy interview by which you took a visa and came here, and whether you lied or not, whether everything in there, every small detail is true and correct or not. And so if you had gone to a visa interview and there was something that you were not honest about because you were scared about staying in your country and you had to flee, you need to disclose that. You need to talk to your attorney about this first and make sure that your attorney understands what was said in the embassy, because that could have a tremendous effect on you in the asylum interview. Please let me know if you have any questions. You'll see our contact information on the screen. We deal exclusively with immigration, and we have experience with asylum offices all over the country. And if there is something we could help with, please let us know. Okay, thank you and have a good day.